All right, let's check out the honest trailer and the pitch meeting for Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. Again, I enjoy this movie. It's silly, it's wacky, but there's a lot of action. So that's why I always loved it as a kid, especially. It's been years since I've watched it, but some of this stuff you just don't forget because I'm realizing more and more that these Superman movies got worse as they went. Like, one is, for most the definitive superhero movie, it's fine. It's boring for me now, but it's still fine, and that's the Superman that you love. Two, I think was great. I love two. Three, I barely remember, and I don't know if I even watched that movie all the way through, but the pitch meeting was hilarious for it. And now we're at four, which I think it should be great. It has to be. It has to be. So let's get right to it.
Good call, two fans. Let's crack open the Honest Trailer Vault.
It's hilarious how it was just two. Like, not even a third or a fourth, just two.
From the production company behind Breakin' 2, Electric Boogaloo, comes a Superman movie so bad, it'll likely kill the entire franchise for 19 years.
And it did.
Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. Christopher Reeve is back for one last paycheck as Superman in one of the corniest movies of the decade, which is saying a lot since this is the 80s.
The name of the game is making money.
Watch as this mild-mannered dork turns into this mild-mannered dork.
I'd like all the people back there to know that our subway system is still the safest and most reliable means of public transportation.
Recoil in horror at the return of mentally unstable actress Margot Kidder.
Oh, God.
As she struggles to play Lois Lane.
He's doing his best to make sure that it'll be all right for the rest of them.
Yeesh. And Gene Hackman returning as Lex Luthor, an evil genius who can't pronounce the word nuclear.
Nuclear power, nuclear strategist, nuclear bomb, nuclear warhead, nuclear man.
The quest for peace begins
Nuclear
when
man.
this dumb, overdubbed kid.
I tell you who I'd write a letter to that would do some good. No, Superman.
Kills Superman into collecting all
Overdubbed.
the world's nuclear weapons that he'll stuff into this big net and throw into the sun, which somehow the UN is totally cool with.
Of course.
Confused? Just wait. We're only getting started. Watch as Lex and Ducky from Pretty in Pink easily cut Superman's indestructible hair, strap it onto a missile, and launch it into the sun to inexplicably create nuclear man.
Destroy Superman.
Inexplicably.
Now.
Behold the super side of two grown men in spandex.
Oh, God.
Toe to toe in some
The
of the
nails.
most poorly
Oh, my God.
executed sissy fights ever put to celluloid.
Sissy fights?
This is bad. This is really bad. What the heck was that?
What?
What is this, space tag? Nails? Really? Come on, you're Superman. Do something.
Nails?
That looks terrible.
Look, I remember the fight on the moon. I thought that was cool because I was like, oh man, they're actually fighting in space. Like that's pretty dope. Hadn't seen anything like that, at that point. Nothing like that happens in 2, right? They're like always in like the city. This was dope. It was like they were doing something different. It was slow, and by today's standards, not very good at all, but fun.
He scratched him? Superman lost from a scratch? That made no sense. Are we sure we want to release this thing? Marvel at Superman's powers that you know and love, and stare in wide-eyed disbelief at these new, completely made-up powers, like rebuilding the Great Wall of China with his eyes, lowering people with his mind, and helping this woman breathe in outer space. So if you thought this year's Predator and Spaceballs looked too polished, then we've got the summer film for you, filled with terrible blue screen, fake miniatures, ridiculous oversized props, really, really terrible blue screen, and the same flying shots used over and over.
I remember that.
And over. Seriously, these are all the same shot?
Oh
You
my
couldn't do one more
God.
take? That's lazy, you guys. Starring Captain
That's lazy.
America, Hackman, Desperately Seeking Superman,
That's on
Charlie
point.
Sheen, Betty Ford,
Oh.
and Dolph Lundgrenish, Superman
Lundgrenish.
IV, The Quest for Peace.
Ivy.
Man, this movie's bad. At least it's not Marvel, right? Those guys will never figure out how to make movies. Hey, everyone.
They'll never figure it out. Okay, so they were doing it like they went back in time kind of scenario. That's actually a cool like vibe. They should do that more often. The filter they had on it was already like super blurry, but the fact that they did it in a way like this is happening right now, like that's actually pretty cool. They should do stuff like that more often because then it makes it a little bit more meta. Australia was still good, but the pitch meeting, let's see how this goes. I'm expecting greatness because this is a very bad movie, even though I enjoy it. All right, here we go.
So, you have a new Superman movie for me? Yes, sir, I do. Now, people didn't really seem to like the last one, and I think I know why. Is it because it was essentially a slapstick comedy and Richard Pryor was the main character for some reason? No, it's because Lex Luthor wasn't in it. Oh, good. Okay, that's an easy fix. Yeah, so Lex...
So wait, again, like I said on that pitch meeting reaction, I thought that was Lex Luthor. Like, that's how much of that movie I remember. I thought just Gene Hackman didn't come back and that guy was just playing a different Lex Luthor. I didn't know he was a totally different character. So now that I'm caught up, I'm like, oh, okay. Still weird.
Is back and he's gonna bust out of prison again. Oh, how does he get out this time? Well, his funky nephew Lenny gets 2 prison guards to go inside his cool car, which he then remote controls to drive off a cliff, so they head out of there. Oh, very sneaky. And so what's going on with Superman? Well, sir, a child is gonna pressure him into getting involved in international geopolitics. What? Yeah, see, this little kid says that Superman should get rid of all the nukes, and because the Daily Planet gets purchased and turned into a tabloid, they run with the story. Oh, so Superman kind of has to get involved. Exactly, and because Superman's all torn up about this, he decides to reveal his secret identity to Lois again and fly her around. Oh, right, because he kissed her and made her forget his identity in Superman 2. That's right, so she makes him feel a lot more confident that he's gonna do the right thing. Wow, well, it's gonna be nice to have her support with his big secret. Oh no, he kisses her again and wipes her memory once more. Well, that seems kind of messed up.
Why?
No, doesn't? Oh, okay. So then he scoops up all the planet's nukes and puts them into a giant space net, which is a thing he has access to.
God.
Yes, and then he launches that into the sun, which puts an end to the threat of nuclear war. What's to stop all the nations from making more nukes? Hey, shut up, but then the fact that Superman did that actually plays into Lex Luthor's evil plan. What's his plan? Well, he and his nephew go to this museum that has a strand of Superman's hair on display, showing that it's so strong it can hold up to 1,000 pounds, right? Okay. So they cut the hair and steal it for themselves. Well, how are they able to just cut through super strong hair? By doing it. That works. So then they use that to create a genetic matrix. What's that? A computery thing. That's all the explanation I need. It's the 1980s. It sure is, sir. So then they get Superman to unknowingly throw that into the sun, which of course creates life. Oh, it does? Yeah, it creates someone called Nuclear Man, and he is evil. Why? Because. Got it. But meanwhile, Superman's dealing with a wacky sitcom situation. What do you mean? He freaking agreed to a double date where he has to be both Clark and Superman. What? Why would he agree to that? Hijinks. Oh, 6 little ladies. Well, there's Lois, and then there's Lacey, who's the daughter of the guy who bought the Daily Planet, and she really likes Clark. Ew. Ew. But then he has to leave the date because he's got it, and she really likes Clark. Ew. Ew. But then he has to leave the date because he's got to go fight Nuclear Man, who wants to destroy him real bad. Why does Nuclear Man want to destroy him? Because that's what he wants to do. So they have this
no real reason
fight, and Nuclear Man destroys a bunch of stuff like the Great Wall of China, which Superman now has to fix. Yikes, well, that's going to be a tough one to put back together. Actually, it's going to be super easy. Barely an inconvenience. Oh, really? Yeah, see, he uses his Great Wall of China rebuilding vision power, and so that does the trick nicely. Well, thank God he had that specific superpower. I know, right? And then Nuclear Man also makes a volcano erupt, so Superman has to cut the top off a mountain to plug that up. Wouldn't that just create more pressure inside the volcano? No, it's like covering a boiling pot. That just stops the process and cools it off. Well, that's not how that works. Well, listen, sir, that explains why all my houses have burned down. So then Nuclear Man scratches Superman with his fancy little nails, and that makes him sick. Oh, no.
Fancy little nails.
Superman has a crystal that'll make him feel better, so he uses that crystal to make himself feel better. Superman has a crystal that'll make him feel better.
Wait, why don't I remember this? I don't remember this part. Like, what? I mean, it looks just like Kryptonite, but why does he look... He reminds me of in The Fly 2, when Brundle's son is like in the midst of a change. He looked like this at one point. Nastier, but I don't know, for some reason this reminds me. But I don't remember this scene. I don't remember this happening in the movie. Do you? I'm lost.
So he uses that crystal to make himself feel better. Smart move. Good use of the crystal that makes him feel better. Oh, yeah. But then Nuclear Man sees a photo of Lacey, so he's obsessed with her now. Becoming obsessed with a random woman you've only seen a picture of once is tight. So what does he do? Well, he heads to the Daily Planet and asks Superman, where is the woman? And Superman's like, you'll never find her. How does he even know who this guy's talking about? Unclear. So then Superman puts him in an elevator, which deactivates him because if there's not direct sun on him, he loses his power. Oh, okay. And he flies him to the moon, but now that he's in space, the sun can shine on him through a little crack in the elevator, so he gets his power back. The sun also reaches the Earth. You don't have to be in space for it to hit you. So then they have a big old fight, and Nuclear Man goes to get in space for it to hit you. Hey, shut up again. So then they have a big old fight, and Nuclear Man goes to get Lacey and brings her up into space. Oh, so she dies? No. How? By living.
My God.
I guess that makes sense. She can't into space. Oh, so she dies? No. How? By living. I guess that makes sense. She can't have died if she is living. And then Superman's going to think of something real clever. He's going to push the moon in front of the sun to block it out. Isn't that going to impact the Earth, like mess with the tides? No. It has no effect on any brand of laundry detergent whatsoever. So then Superman saves Lacey and drops Nuclear Man into a power plant. Wow.
What is wrong with him?
Wow. And then he gives a big old public speech about world peace and drops Lex and Lenny off in prison. Amazing. So what do you think?
Just like that.
It sounds like a movie, you know. Did you have anybody in mind to play that Lenny Luthor character? Oh, I don't know. I mean, someone who's just the opposite of Lex Luthor. Someone you could never see playing Lex Luthor. Ever.
Yeah, and he does. Which I thought was an odd choice at first, but then he was actually pretty good. In some of the crossover episodes that I watched, I never actually like finished Supergirl. Ugh. But still, I would have never guessed. Again, as a kid, I wanted to see Superman fighting other superpowered beings. That's what made it the best. And they're both flying. They fought in space. All that junk was cool. And then we didn't get anything for almost 20 years. So, you know, it did that part, which understandably, it's not good. So I do get that part. But man, this thing was, this was bad. Funny though. Again, really, for me, both were funny. Both were funny. And actually now I'm looking at this, this Luthor. This is the one that I always think of, like from the animated series. Like if they do Luthor, I mean, obviously they already got Nicholas Hoult in the DCU version that James Gunn is doing, so he's gonna be playing Lex Luthor. But I thought they would get somebody like of color, like this guy. I mean, he's not. This isn't a white guy, right? I've always assumed he was like black or mixed. So I've always kind of been wavy on that, but still very good. Still very good. I thought that was hilarious.